This is week 9 of Spatial Information Engineering 598 Augmented Reality. This is the Compare and Genesis portion, and this is out of the University of Maine in Orono. It's Josh. I'm Reggie. 18th of August, summer 2014. As we start to wrap up the class, we're going to go ahead and submit a couple different papers. One is going to be the current status of augmented reality technology solutions, methodologies, things of that nature. So we've been doing things like comparing the solutions created by companies like Google, Vuzix, Lenovo, and a few others. As we get that all wrapped up, we'll talk about that more later on in a later video. But some of the things we've been looking at is what are the qualities to look for in an augmented reality application based on the lessons we've learned. One is capture quality. The display is nice to a degree. I think as long as it has a minimum spec, which I can't speak to because I only have the one. But as long as you can clearly read probably like a sentence across one line, that's probably going to give you enough graphic fidelity to draw pictures or relate things in text and numbers. What we found to be more important is the video capture quality. As we've used different webcams, those on the Vuzix glasses or our own custom or our own personal webcams, things of that nature, we noticed that the reliability of the software to identify a picture or one of the fiducial markers a lot more reliable with higher data being sent to the system to be processed. So as we look at the different augmented reality options, we definitely want to look at, okay, which ones can actually capture the best, which ones can do it at maybe high frame rates. It doesn't need to be extreme, but enough so that while you're moving, you're not losing a ton of frames, because one of the primary ideas behind all this is that you're looking with augmented reality glasses is that you're looking at the image that the camera captures and that's being presented to your eye. So your eye shouldn't really be seeing much of the naked image itself, but rather just what's being presented to you. And if the data being presented to you lags behind real world perception, that you're going to have an issue, especially if you're wearing a monocular or monocle rather. Your left eye is seeing things in real time, your right eye is lagged a little bit. You're going to see a huge difference. So capture quality, the ability to process in real time, portability. The glasses that we work with, primarily 920 wrap, they have a huge negative, which is that they're tethered to. About how long do you think the cable is?
Maybe 2 feet long, if that.
Yeah. So we've identified some issues with that.
So you basically have to carry a laptop around with you while you're walking around, or you need really long extensions, but you're still tethered to that computer.
Right. And so at least for large computing power. So that's another negative. We talked about real time. Again, then the SDK in the community, we've voiced our concerns about this a few different times, and I know that based on some of the research we've been doing, a lot of this augmented reality research and devices have been around since 1997 or probably even earlier, but it still seems to me like it's still kind of in its infancy, and I say that only because it's not widespread yet. The common person or your average person probably couldn't define for you what this is, and it's not really out there all that well. And then even in professional environments, in the wide variety of things I've seen, I've yet to see someone actually using one of these and for actual professional reasons. I think the closest I've ever seen people using augmented reality for an actual true purpose is some of the smartphone applications where you can look out over a landscape and it'll show you where different restaurants are. Yeah. That's about the closest I've seen.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen too.
So as far as a wearable solution, that's still that's really widespread. That's still far out there. Google Glass is still, everybody hears about Google Glass, but there's still not a huge, it hasn't been adopted widely yet. One, the price point, and two, there's just not really, there's a term I heard earlier today, killer app. There's not really this huge need for it, something that a wearable AR could do. Right now, for it seems to be the most part, they're using Google Glass to take pictures and to record video. But there's other solutions out there that actually do it much better, like the GoPro, right?
Yeah, GoPro is pretty good at that. It doesn't do great audio, but it does record really good video.
Right. So there's other solutions. So if the only reason you need an expensive augmented reality glasses for, just record videos and take pictures, and maybe we're not where we need to be yet. So, and we have discussed some of the potential, and we'll do that again later. And then another consideration is going to be battery life. And again, that goes back to tethering, and some of the solutions we've looked into so far actually have an internal battery, and it just mounts on your head, and it actually it's pretty good. Now, obviously, the battery life drains the more processing you do, but yeah, so that's some of the stuff that we're looking at. And then we also...
So we started with, we went from what we had a couple weeks ago, was an older version of Visual Studio, older OpenCV, and tried to get everything to the same point with the newest stuff, because using the deprecated stuff isn't really worth the time anymore. So we started with Visual Studio 2013, OpenCV 2.4.9, which is the newest one you can get. And we started working on just the basic image detection of the fiducial markers. And we got back to the same thing, and it actually works with the newer OpenCV. It actually works nicer. It's quicker picking up the markers, and it's not as before we had issues where it would highlight things that weren't markers. Now it's pretty accurate. It still is limited within range of distance from the marker, and I think that has to do with the resolution of the camera, because they're rather low resolution webcams on the glasses. But it's the same process. We'll record a video about how to actually set up Visual Studio, but you have to include the right libraries, the right DLL files and everything from OpenCV, and then it's fairly straightforward getting it up and running.
So my understanding to where we're at with that right now is using the most current Visual Studio, most current OpenCV, and we're using the cameras attached to the 920. Mm-hmm. And so kind of the next step here is to get a cornerstone development environment wherein we can actually use the screens inside the 920s. And so you probably need the SDK for that, or?
Yeah, we'll need the SDK for using the screens, I believe. But yeah, like right now, we're only using them as if they were webcams for processing the data. And then we may not need the SDK, but we'll find out shortly.
So that's kind of where we're going with that. So again, more of a state of where everything is right now with augmented reality. We'll also produce a report on what we found with the Vuzix 920 wrap AR specifically in a separate report. And then we'll also try and provide some information on how to get started with Max Reality if you want to use that. And then also that kind of the basic environment for using the 920 and more modern software. So yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks.